Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now.
Thanks. Welcome home. On the Edge with April Mahoney and Sadhana Sabharwal. We are going to talk to a female millionaire. Oh, yes. We're going to tap into her veins and hopefully bleed out. We're going to learn what she has learned as a woman from a foreign country, originally born and raised in India, a mother of 3 sons, ending up divorced, lost, without any wherewithal, without any support, and turning her life around, becoming a real estate mogul. Her children are happy and successful, and now she is here to share the good news with us here. So I want you to take notes. I want you to pay attention and honor her time. Hello, Sadhana.
Hello, April. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm so glad to have you right here on the edge with me and my brains. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
So where are you at?
A beautiful person.
Yes. Thank you. Where are you in the world right now? You travel so much. Where are you at?
Right now, I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Okay. I used to work in Canada. I loved Canada is big now, especially for the movie industry. Toronto, they really, really tapped into that. Tell us a little bit about your humble beginnings. And I even heard that you had an arranged marriage. Girl, what was that like?
Well, I was born and raised in India. I came to Canada when I was 14 years old, and now I live in Canada. I was married at the age of 19, had 3 kids by the time I was 25, divorced at 34, and life goes on.
Wow. So arranged marriage. So what do they do? You know, I mean, they just pick you out a suitor.
No. It's not like that. Yes. Okay. I should say yes and no. So what happens is the parents will introduce you to some other people. Like, sometimes it's through ads in newspapers and stuff.
No.
Where there's a section.
Girl, they will put you on Craigslist. They will put you on Craigslist.
Only on Kijiji. So yes, there was an ad that was placed actually for my sister, who's 2 years older than me. And then once she got married, then, we have another daughter, we want to get married. And I think they referred my husband or my ex-husband to my parents. And then that's how it came about. And then I met him a couple of times, and within 3 weeks we were married. So it's not like you get to know the person a lot. So I met him, I think, end of September, and we were married, like I said, 3 weeks later.
Damn, I would be upset. But you know what? I say that from a place of ignorance, because if you don't know better, you don't do better. And if
the way I see it, April, is that whether it's an arranged marriage or whether it is, somebody you've known for 10 years or 12 years, things happen. Life happens.
Absolutely.
And, there is no guarantee. If I knew him for 5 years before we got married, this would not have happened. So,
right, but I would have at least liked to, kiss him and felt his biceps and, some of that. But again, it's different. Now, let me ask, in the Indian culture, do they give a dowry? Does the husband give it to the wife's family, or does the wife family give it to the husband?
It's the wife's family that gives it to the husband's family. But I think that also has come a long way. It doesn't happen as often, because I think used to be that the boys were more educated, and then, you want to get the most educated or the person who's capable of making money that will support your daughter. And I think that became more of that. But I think now that the girls and the boys are all educated, it's more equal, we'll say. I don't see it as much, or it's not as prominent. Maybe it is in the older parts, or like, in villages and that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, I don't see it. But then again, I've also been
they're not having you on the auction block in downtown Mumbai. I get it. Okay. All right. So again, here in the United States, We don't practice that as a culture. Some families still do, and that's fine. But what happens when you get into this marriage and you get to know this person and you find that there are things that are unbecoming to you? There's not a lot of choices and options. Do you have a choice to divorce or leave? What was your situation when you had realized that enough was enough and you wanted to break free?
Well, what happened was, and I think that is a very personal situation for everybody, like how much can you take type of thing, right? So for myself, let's just say in my scenario, when he told me that there was another woman, for me, that was not acceptable. And therefore, I chose self-worth. Therefore, I chose to walk away. So that's a personal preference. I actually know of people here in Canada, and I'm talking about an Italian family, I won't name names or anything, where the woman has been told by the husband, like, you know what, if you want this lifestyle, that's fine, but I have somebody else. And the woman has chosen to stay.
Right, right.
So,
and I mean, and some people do that. I mean,
exactly.
there's cultures where men have harems. They have 4, 5, 6 wives.
Yes. So for me, it was not acceptable that you have somebody else. I'm not going to stick around. I'm sorry. I'm worth more than that. And that is where this whole journey, I feel, began, because I refused to be part of where I'm just, yeah, okay, you're the breadwinner and here I am. I'm just going to be submissive. No, I can't be. I won't be. I choose not to be.
Right. So he was the breadwinner, but you were the bread butterer. So how did you get to spread it on, and how did you spread it so thick? What happened? How did you find your footing?
Well, what happened was, actually, I was home with the kids because I had 3 kids over the span of 6 years, as I said. So I was home after that for a while. And then I think about a year before he told me about the situation that he was in, I had reached out to one of my previous clients and I said, I'm looking for a job, blah, 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 blah. And I started working about a year before the incident, let's call it. And then when I was faced with that situation, I knew I would be able to at least feed my children. And therefore, it was easy for me to say, you know what, I'm sorry, you've got to make a decision. And he said, I can't leave her. And I said, okay, then you leave me. And he did.
Wow. Well, what do you say? And for the better you are, because who wants to be with somebody that's really not into you?
Plus, also, I find, how can you face yourself every morning? It was like, it took me 5, 6 months before I finally asked him that question as to, like, it can't go on like this, right? And I think sometimes you need to be ready for that decision. Sometimes, yes, it just happens instant, but for me, it was not instant. It did happen. And it was basically, like I said, it took me 6 months for me to ask him. And when he said no, I'm like, okay, now there's no options, because now I'm not going to eat my words and be like, okay, I'm saying you have to make a decision. Yes, he's making a decision that he can't leave her, which in effect is that I can leave you. So you know what? Get the bleep out.
Okay, so now you're raising 3 sons alone, and
Yes.
they're seeing this cultural shift because, again, very, very dominant, very masculine, very male-driven, seeing their dad being the breadwinner, seeing the mother being in a mother's role, not being submissive, but being in a woman's role, and now you're branching out. Did it really have a deep impact on your son? And, psychologically, how are they feeling and maneuvering in relationships?
I would think, that's a tough question, I mean, mind you, none of them are married. So we'll start with that.
Okay, well, you know what, and they're taking their time, and I appreciate that.
Yes, which I'm okay with, because I'm not one of those people like, oh my God, you're 24, you got to get married. You got to, like, it's not that at all with me anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as them treating women, and I think they have seen the pain that I have gone through. So I would rather that they take their time and be in the right relationship than to be in something where they've seen their mom suffer.
Right.
Or similar to what I have gone through.
But, and I say this with love. I don't know them. I'm sure that they are, wonderful men. But the Western culture is different. So now they're seeing women that are on equal footing to them, if not superior. I mean, look at you. You're a millionaire now. You know, you don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about that. You're able to do and give for others. I'm just relishing at the fact that they have a shining example of a woman like you that has come from something that was totally different. And you have, you know, like cream, you've risen to the top. Tell us a little bit about the rise. So you got the job with your friend. How did you find real estate and how'd you become a millionaire?
Sure. So what happened was when I was working, one of the women came into the office. She needed something notarized, I mean, you know, signed by a lawyer. And I saw that she was renewing a mortgage, and that's what the documentation was about. And it ended up being, when I looked at the payment on there, it was something like $350 a month. And I was like, my car payment was more than that at the time. So I just started asking her questions like, there is no tomorrow. And then she invited me to one of her clubs, or like, you know, she was starting a meetup group for real estate people. And that was the journey that I came on, or that's the journey. That's where my journey began. And now I know, going back to my kids, you were asking about the kids. I think they saw an example. Yes, that mom did this, this, this. And as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, my youngest son was saying, Mom, thank you for teaching us financial freedom. So that is the biggest compliment I could have ever asked for, because one of the things is, when I was learning real estate, when I was going to all these different meetings and groups and stuff, there were many times when I ignored my children. And I mean, you know, there's a part of me that regrets that. But there's also a part of me that says, you know what? I gave you guys support where you needed it. And I think, I mean, out of my 3 boys, 2 of them are in medicine and one of them is an MBA. Isn't that enough? Like, you got out of school with no debt.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So sometimes, like, as a parent, I feel that guilt that maybe I didn't give them all of the motherhood, but I always explain to them, I was thrown into a situation which I didn't know how to handle. Right. So I became a mom, I became a dad, I became a provider. Like, right. from just being a stay-at-home mom.
Right. So you got into this world of real estate. So are you a real estate investor? Are you flipping properties? Are you in commercial real estate, residential? Give us an idea of where you are in the world.
Yes. So I started off with a single family home for $5,000. I found it on a tax sale. I bought a 6-unit building. What happened was, because I didn't have any money, like I was the only person making any money in the household with 3 kids, and I did not have any support from my ex-husband. For me, it was like I didn't have any money. So I had to figure out, how do I buy real estate even though I don't have a whole lot of money? So that's where my whole thing was. Like, every time I saw a deal, my mind would be like, how can I buy this property? Because I don't have the money. So I did owner financing. I did seller financing, which is same. I borrowed from my realtor. I borrowed from my parents. I borrowed from my brothers. I borrowed from a coworker. Wherever I could borrow money from for the down payment, I would borrow, and then I would buy the property. Or if the property was good, I would ask someone if they wanted to JV with me, and JV being a joint venture with me. So let's say I find the property, I'm going to do all the work. You have the money. April, come on, do you want to buy this property with me? This is how much it's going to make per month. In 5 years, you could sell it and we could split the profits 50-50.
Well, see, you know what? The gods were shining down on you, because a lot of times people will not loan you money. Number one, they don't, you know, they're going to loan you money to make money. They don't get it. They have to move that energy. And then you to go and trust people for joint ventures. It could always be a big kerfuffle with that. Buying properties on an auction block now is sight unseen. You know, people get so turned on that. You know, you're up late at night, you're looking at television, and you see that 1-800 ballroom. Oh my God, I can be a real estate, you know, investor and make $1 million. Well, you can make a nightmare too. You get into some of these properties, the floors are bad. It's been, you know, lived in by hoarders. The roof is bad. The plumbing is bad. So you have to have an idea of what you're doing, and you were a risk taker. You took that chance. Have you really run into any just really nightmare situations?
You know what? I'm going to say something. Number one, Oprah always says life is a four-letter word, risk. You have to take risk. Me getting married to a man that I only knew for 3 weeks is a risk. Me coming to Canada as a 14-year-old was a risk. Me driving my car on the road every day is a risk. So we all do take risks, knowingly or unknowingly. Sometimes what happens is we're taking those risks because society has trained them into us. Like, driving has become like, yeah, I'm going to drive the car. But if you really look at it, every few minutes there's an accident. Am I right? So risk is how you choose to look at it. Risk is sometimes something that's going to move you forward, not necessarily something that's going to hold you back. So yes, for me, I have gotten into those risky situations as well. But then I always feel that is the time to grow. That is the time when you're going to learn the most. So why shy away from that? My house that I bought for $5,000, I fixed it up. Yes, my realtor helped me. Yes, a contractor helped me. Yes. I swear to you, the moment you make a decision that you want to do something, all the universe will come behind you with full force to make it happen for you. It's you who needs to make that decision first and foremost.
That's right. And you know what, Brains? If it doesn't work out, the things that hurt us the most are truly our best teachers. You will know not to do it again. You'll figure out a way to do it better next time, and you have a template of what not to do.
Correct.
And so, again, that's a part of the risk. It's the risk versus the reward. How did you feel when you woke up and you looked at your bank account and you realized that you were a millionaire? Girl, how'd you feel?
I will tell you that story as well. So I have a mentor and he asked me, so how many properties do you have? And honestly, what had happened was I just started to buy and it became a game. Oh, let me see this one. Let me see if I can make this one work. Before I realized I had 18 properties, I had 46 tenants within a span of 4 years. And so when my mentor asked me, how much do you own? I said, I don't know. And I'm starting to write down. And like, this is what I bought for, this is what it's worth now. I was like, holy smokes. And I think I froze because when I wrote out 18 properties, yes, some were joint venture partnerships. Yes, some were on my own. Some were borrowed money. Some were like no money, whatever. But at the end of the day, I was like, I don't need any more. What the bleep? I don't need any more. And I think since then, I just stopped for a bit. I was like, okay. And then about 3 years ago, when the kids were out of school and stuff, I only have one in school right now. It was like, oh, I could do this again. Like it just kind of, I feel like it's more of my happy place because I feel like I'm creating something. I feel like I am doing something that when somebody goes in there, it's going to be their home. It's just, I feel like I want to pour that energy in there because someone who's going to live in there is going to feel that positive vibe that I've put into creating that home.
Right. Absolutely. What would you say to a woman right now that's probably looking in a foreign country, or she is foreign and she's here in the United States? She wants to break free. She's looking for someone to help her with a microloan. She's looking for someone to educate her. She's looking for someone to mentor her. Where would you ask her, to begin?
My main thing that I tell everybody is you have to start with educating yourself. Whatever it is that you want to do, you must learn about it. Because in order for other person to have faith in you, to put their money on you, you must offer them something more than they know about it. Right? So in order for me to get joint venture partners, I had to have more knowledge than that other person. Because otherwise, why would they come with me?
Right. Absolutely.
And
and there's only so much trust you're going to get, because we're not talking about borrowing $20 for lunch, Brains. We're talking about borrowing anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 on a down payment.
Or more. or more.
or more.
Like I'm talking, like, I have borrowed money. I bought a 10-unit building. It was 8 plus a 2. I got the seller to give me the money for the down payment and the closing costs. And I borrowed the rest from the bank. So how much money did I have to come up with? A big fat zero.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Now, if I didn't know how to maneuver that deal, if I did not now go to the backdrop, if I did not have the education to think, okay, let me figure this out this way, or let me try this way, it wouldn't be done. I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you I bought 10-unit building with no money.
Now, on the flip side of there's a lot of also back-end risk as being a landlord and owning the property. You've got to have insurance, against liability. Your tenant is in there cooking and, or the kids set the place on fire right up the street from my house. They had a beautiful residential home for women with their children, and one of the children got unruly, set the place on fire. You are dealing with another person. What do you look at when it comes to vetting tenants or people that you're going to entrust to live in your property as a landlord? What are you looking at?
Okay, so most of the properties that I have a property manager look after it. So I will tell you a story where one of the property was this couple that lived there. They had a fight, the boyfriend, girlfriend. Boyfriend came back and lit the mattress on fire, and that burnt out the main floor. So that's yes, but you have insurance for that. So that's fine. Now, apart from that, the people that there's one property that is close to my house, so I manage it myself and stuff. And that one, my first thing is I usually, like when I meet with them, it's like, do you gel or don't gel? That's the very first thing. And then you do your due diligence by going on Facebook, going on Google. As a matter of fact, very recent.
So wait, you check their Facebook profile?
Oh yeah.
See, Grace, you just don't realize who's looking at your stuff. Okay, now she's trying to rent you a place. We're not talking about a job. We're not talking about a relationship. We're not talking about pre-qualification. We're talking about a place to stay. She want to see how you wilding out. I love that. I
will tell you a funny story though, because my son just bought a house recently in Niagara Falls, and we were looking at a tenant, and it turned out then that tenant, I wasn't told this on the history, like, on your application, that they have any charges against them and stuff. I put the name in Google and like,
they were a nightmare.
Yes. And you know what? I had to say, I'm sorry, your background check did not pan out. I have to apologize and I'll return your deposit. It was nice to have that deposit, but you know what? You also want to make sure your place is safe. And it's like, because you put so much effort. And again, I am one of those people who wants to make it look beautiful, and I want to make it and keep it beautiful.
Right.
And
so also you have a sense of responsibility to the surrounding people in that area. The neighbors.
Yes.
God love them. My neighbors that had the house next door to me, pristine. I mean, you couldn't do it. These neighbors that I have now, girl, the weeds are as tall as the fence. And I want to say something, but I can't, I can't say anything. They're young. I smell marijuana all day long. I'm wondering how they even afford to pay for anything. It's their lifestyle. It's the music. You can't dictate how people live. But as a landlord, you do have a little bit of an obligation and a responsibility as to who you bring into your properties.
I agree, but you know what happens? So sometimes, remember, they're also trying to get the place. So they're also going to not give you the shady stuff, right?
Right.
I have a student, I think I've told you, I have an online course. So I have a student in that, and she was telling me the other day, they own a house up north, that's about an hour and a half from Toronto. And the person who had rented it, now there's 10 people in there, and it's pretty much a drug house. People come there to buy drugs, and people are like peeing and pooing like in open space. It's just like, so they had to go there with the police to say this is what's happening here, and they had to kick everybody out, and they renovated it, and now they've recently sold it. So we just had a discussion about that. So what I'm saying is you can be careful, but it doesn't mean that shit's never going to happen.
Absolutely. It can happen. It can happen all the time. You know,
Yes.
we had a big challenge here, and I'm sure all around the world during COVID, with landlord tenants, where the tenants were not able to go to work, where they were being subsidized by the government, but it was not enough to cover the rent. Correct. That's a liability too for a landlord, because they forget, okay, the tenant can't pay, but the owner of the property still needs to pay the mortgage.
Yep.
Regardless. Yeah. And then what happens is there's a black mark put against the tenant. So how is the tenant ever going to find somewhere else to stay? Where's the balance? Where's the fairness and all that?
I agree with you, but I think at the same time, when the rules are passed, and I know there is a joke that goes around here all the time, it's like, landlord and tenant board. No, it should be called the tenant board, because they have more rights than the landlord. Okay? So that's a separate issue altogether. We won't go there. But as far as the tenants and their landlord relationship is concerned, the tenant also needs to recognize that the landlord has responsibility to the bank. The bank is not going to say, you know what, put your mortgage off for 6 months because your tenant's not paying. I still have to come up with that money.
That's right.
So it's a very delicate balance, and I don't have the answer. Like, how do you, like, if I saw that the tenant was in real bad shape, and yes, they were trying to make best of what they had, yes, totally understandable. But at the same time, if it's just because a lot of people, April, have used COVID as an excuse, and I hate to say this, a lot of people have used it as, oh my God, like, as if there is nothing, what shall I say, as if nothing can come back and bite them. Like, even the banks who have deferred the mortgage payments and stuff, like, they're just adding it to your principal. So who's zooming who here?
Right, absolutely.
And Aretha Franklin would say.
Hey, girl, I was so glad you're so hip. Right. So where do you see yourself now? Sadhana, where are you in this space? Okay, yeah, you're wheeling and dealing and making money, and you can write a check and travel and do all of that kind of stuff. But what's left on your bucket list, Queen?
Bucket list, it's all about traveling. However, apart from that, my goal has become to teach people how to do real estate. And this is why what I have done is I've poured all of my knowledge into a program that's online. And I have said, how did I buy properties, no money down? How did I afford to buy real estate without any money? So I'm teaching all the tricks and trades, and I'm using my brain, and giving it out to the people, because I feel like if I can do it, and I remember, I forget who asked me one time, like, how do you feel like being a woman, being a minority, being an immigrant, to be able to do all of that? I feel like if I can do it, why can you not do it? Right. Everybody, every single person out there listening can do this.
Well, it's a drive, it's a desire. It's the hustler mentality. It really is. And the risk taker.
Yes.
You cannot be afraid to take a risk.
Yes.
You cannot.
I used to feel hustler was a bad word, but I don't feel that.
No, the hustle is real. Okay. Hustler is not, I take great pride.
I've been called that. That's what I mean. So I used to be like, is that a bad word? Good word?
No, it's not a bad word. It is a bravo word, because you have the ingenuity, you have the skill, you have the tenacity, you have the drive, you're able to negotiate, you're strong, you're a risk taker. And you know what? Hustlers win. You're not cheating anybody out of what of that, because they have an option. They have a choice to do their due diligence and to look at where they are and say, hey, look, do I have a buy-in? You and I have a relationship. You have a buy-in, I have a buy-in, and I have a responsibility to you. And women, I want you to listen to us. Know your cotton picking worth.
Yes.
Ask for what you want. Oh no, I don't do it for money. Well, then you're a volunteer.
Yes.
Well, I don't know how much is in my account. Then you will be a victim. Well, I'm afraid to ask. Then you will never succeed.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
You know?
I totally agree. And this is where I feel like women really need to take control of their future,
Right.
because I have seen women in my lifetime, I'll say, where they are stuck, and I use the word stuck, in a relationship, in a marriage, in a situation, and they don't have the courage to come out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me goes back to self-worth.
Mm-hmm. And be,
So,
you know, and have enough buoyancy to fall down and bounce back up.
you bet.
You have to do. I did that yesterday at the roller skating rink. I hadn't been on roller skates in 25 years, and I fell on my dumpster, and I got right back up and continued on. This is what you have to do. You have to have tenacity, and that situation may not work. You might try something and it doesn't work again, but you have a template, and God blesses the child brains that has his own. I've been married for 37 years. I adore the breeze that keeps that brother cool. Yes, I do. But you better know that mama here got her own money in her own account, and I have no problem with him knowing it. You know, because again, people change their minds. They say, you know what, it's the flavor of the week. Oh, okay, well, we'll have vanilla today, and then tomorrow we want chocolate, and then Wednesday we want strawberry. So what do? You can't be a ping pong going back and forth. You have to have some stability, especially when you have children. Take that into consideration. If you sell cookies, if you do people's laundry, there's no shame if you clean houses. Whatever you have to do to subsidize and have multiple revenue streams. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, totally. Like, you know, there is this one book that changed my life, and it is Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the ones. And then if you look at Robert Allen, he always talks about multiple streams of income. Like, you should not be putting all your eggs in one basket. If you are working, ladies, and yes, 9 to 5, you still have the 5 to 9. And I'm not saying, like, you know, come home at 5 o'clock. Of course, do your thing. Once the kids are off to bed, take an hour for yourself, learn something, learn a skill, do something with that time. And, you know, this is one of the things I say, my 9 to 5 has made me less money than my 5 to 9. It makes me less money than my 5 to 9 because that is my time. And you're not selling your time for an X amount an hour.
Right.
There you have the chance to shine.
That's right. This is a bundle. This is a bundle packet. And you have to look at, okay, that's like, you know, different business. Like, I'm a brand ambassador for certain products. There's certain perks there. You get to try the product. You are representing a brand. Your name is associated with that brand, your information, your logo. They're riding, you know, your wave. All of that is value. So you have to look and say, what does that mean to you? And if you introduce something or an opportunity to someone and they're not with it, okay, that's not your client. There are 2.4 billion people on the planet. Believe and trust. There is somebody that's going to say yes. A no is just on spelled backwards.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I always say a no is just meaning for next opportunity.
Absolutely. Same thing. So, you know, don't be afraid when someone says no. When someone says no to you, that means that you need to tighten up your hustle. You need to get your conversation. You need to get your product. You need to get your deliverable. You need to, you know, cast a wider net, or sometimes even grab the low-hanging fruit. When you say that, Sadhana?
You know what? I have to say definitely. And again, I keep on going back to, I almost feel like I have a bigger message than just real estate. I really do. And I feel like, you know, one of the things that I want to do is I want to do a world tour basically to motivate women to say, you know what? You have greatness within you. It's just, you've got to let it shine. You've got to let it shine and not let that other person. And I was there. And when I speak about this, it's because I've been there. I did not have my identity because I felt I was identified with this person that I was married to. But you all have what it takes. So what is stopping you? That's the question. What is stopping you? Because if he is really, and I say he, she, whomever, meaning like, husband or wife, whomever, if they really care, they will support you on that journey.
Right.
They will support you. They will not pull you back. They will be like, you know what? Let me watch the kids and you go do your real estate meeting or whatever it is. Like I said, right now, my goal has been, yes, to spread my message, which is financial freedom, through my program, which I have, which is called the No Money Down Academy. But at the same time, it's so much more bigger than just that. It's so much more, because it's about awakening. It's about rising up. It's about women doing what they need to do out there.
Mm-hmm. It's about being resilient and rebellious. Tell us a little bit about how we can get in contact with you, Sadhana, and how can our brains connect with you, work with you, learn from you? Because I want more millionaires.
Yes, I do too. I do too. And then we can all travel the world together.
Absolutely.
They can reach me on LinkedIn. You can reach me on Facebook. Again, just my name, Sadhana Sabharwal. And also you can, easier than that, if you can't remember my name, because I know it's a little bit long, you can do singlemommillionaire.com.
Wow, and I'm gonna put all of your information down there and in the show notes. You are in the process of writing a book, Brain. She's going to write it all down, and I'm going to encourage her to work with someone to get an audio version, because again, you want to listen to it in your car. You want to listen to it while you're cooking dinner. You might be working on an exit plan and making those mashed potatoes. He don't know, and you working on the strategy. In here, in your ear, you're listening to Sadhana tell you how to buy some prime real estate. Thank you so much, beautiful, being here on the edge and sharing your wealth of infinite knowledge and experience and your life experience as a woman with us here on the Edge. Brains, I encourage you, I beseech you to go in and check out On the Edge with April Mahoney all over the world. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We want you to subscribe. We want you to listen to other edgy conversations. Leave a comment, leave some information so that we can respond back to you. We want to give you what you deserve and what you want. Thank you so much, beautiful. Come back and see me real soon.
Thank you.